screen here and we will jump in and get started with using Book Creator in the STEAM classroom. All right, let me move my stuff around here and we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves. So Catherine, why don't you take it away and let us know who you are?
Yes, awesome. My name is Catherine Capiello. I'm one of the teacher success managers here at Book Creator. I am located out in Chicago. I am a former educator myself. I've taught kinder, third grade, fourth grade, ninth grade, and 10th grade. So kind of all across the spectrum. I'm going to be helping John out here in the background, answering all of your questions. So please, if you do have any, put those in the Q&A box. And we'd love to hear all of, just like you said before, we'd love to hear all of your excitement in the chat window. So keep all that in the chat. If you do hear a squeaking of a toy or barking in the background for some weird reason, if I'm off mute, that's who is doing that. That's my little guy named Drake. But overall, really happy to be here. This is a great webinar. So get excited.
All right, thank you, Catherine. And I can say too, if you hear any toys squeaking or dogs barking in the background, I also have a dog, brand new puppy, because if life wasn't stressful enough, let's throw a brand new puppy into the mix. And squeaking toys could either be the dog or my children. I'm not same thing with barking. So we'll figure that out. But my name is John Smith. I am the iPod teacher on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter and you want to give me a shout out, great. If not, no worries. I'm also John Smith at bookcreator.com. Now, we will be recording this webinar. It's live on YouTube. So in the next couple of days, this webinar will be available there as well. I taught special ed for 12 years. I was a technology integration specialist after that for 7 years. And now I am a teacher success manager here at Book Creator, along with Catherine. Lots of training, sales, support, basically anything we can do to help teachers utilize Book Creator to their fullest. That's what we're really here for. Let's see what else. Married, 3 kids, 10, 7, and 4. And I love golf and I love clean cars. So I love to detail cars on the side, especially when it's a nice, beautiful, sunny day like it is out there today here in Ohio. So I will take it whenever we can. All right. So let's move right along. And today in our agenda, let's figure out what we're going to talk about. So first thing, we're going to talk a little bit about a guide for STEAM and Book Creator and how you can use that in the classroom. We're going to talk a little bit then about Book Creator in special education. All right, so using STEAM and Book Creator together in special education. And then we are going to share some really cool samples. All right, and I think Elizabeth did mention in the chat window, lots of great resources. So we do have a ton of great resources. So before we get into all of that, I do want to show you where some of those resources are because I do think it's important. So once you have logged into your online Book Creator account, there is a section here that says Discover. And in the Discover section, there are tons of books that you can check out. There are books here at the top by our ambassadors. We have books by grade level. We have books here by more books by our ambassadors on a wide range of topics. So I encourage you to check those out. And then we also have books by subject area. So if you're like, oh yeah, Book Creator is really cool, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to use that in PE or math class or English, whatever. There are tons of examples in these libraries. So you want to check those out. If you click this Learn tab, this is also a very important tab. I think what happens a lot of times, we do these webinars and we ask if there are any questions at the end. And a lot of times everybody's just kind of like, nah, I'm excited. I want to go play. And so you start playing with Book Creator and then a couple minutes later, 5 minutes later, an hour later, 5 hours later, or a few days later, those questions do finally start to pop into your head. And then you're just kind of like, well, now what? Well, this Learn tab is a great place to go because all of these buttons here, these white buttons, will take you to step-by-step guides on all aspects of Book Creator. And then underneath that, we have our Book Creator certification course. So if you click this button or the link that Catherine just put into the chat window, if you click that, a new tab will appear that says certification. And what you'll get are 14 videos that will take you on that deep dive of Book Creator's features. And then you get a quiz. Watch the videos, pass the quiz, and you become a book creator certified author. You get this cool badge you can put into your email or put into social media post, whatever. But more importantly, you'll have a deep, deep understanding of book creators. So I highly encourage you to take a look at this course, especially if after this is done today, you have some questions and things that you want to take kind of a deeper dive in. All right. So back to it. Without further ado, let's talk about book creator and STEAM. All right. And so what is STEAM education specifically? All right. And so I grabbed this definition of STEAM education, which I thought was a really good one. It's an approach to learning that uses science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math as an access point for guiding student inquiry, dialogue, and critical thinking. And so, what I love about this definition specifically is that it's not something extra, right? STEAM isn't just a place to go. It's not a certain teacher. STEAM can be and should be kind of incorporated into everything. All right. And again, it's just providing the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math as an access point to get the kids hooked on that student inquiry, dialogue, and critical thinking. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, we're going to talk about some different areas specifically of STEAM. All right, and some different like key aspects. And these are not all of the aspects of STEAM. These are just some of the ones that I thought that we could really hammer out today. All right. Now, the first one is focus. All right. And so I think what's important, again, not only in STEAM, but just in general, is that we have to have some kind of focus when we're doing this whole STEAM process. All right. And so one of the most important things when it comes to that focus is coming up with some kind of essential question. All right. It gives the kids a chance to focus on something important to them, to their neighborhood, to their school, to their personal lives, whatever, but it gives them something to focus on instead of just saying, here's a blank page, write something. All right. This gives them something that they can focus on. And so how can we do that in Book Creator? Now, I think this is kind of a really cool opportunity because I love collaboration, and I do see that we're talking a little bit about collaboration in the chat window, and so it's a perfect little segue into what we're going to talk about now. So when it comes to that focus, I love just asking my kids, what is it that resonates with them? What kind of things do they want to discuss or research? Let them come up with the ideas instead of me force feeding those ideas to them. Now, one of the ways that we can do that is through collaboration. All right, and have the kids start to develop these essential questions or these focus areas. All right, and so I know, Catherine, if you're in this, if you're still in the book, if you could get to page 10, I will show everybody a little bit about what collaboration might look like in Book Creator. All right, so I can see that Catherine is now on this page. And so in this case, I'm thinking to asking my students, what are those essential questions? What are those focus areas? And so as you can see here, Catherine has put a little shape in here, and she's going to start typing in some things that she might want to focus on. All right. And so then I can click the plus button and I can add my own shapes and I can start putting in my essential questions. So maybe I'll put my essential question over here. So, maybe I'll put something like, why do skunks smell so bad? All right. And that might be the essential question that I really want to focus on. And Catherine will have her question down there. And what I think is really cool here then is as a class or as a group, we can decide which of these essential questions we want to tackle first. All right. But again, that gives us that specific area that we really want to focus on. All right. So Catherine wants to know why polar bears live in the cold. I want to learn about why do skunks smell, and I'm sure everybody else has these other things. At my wife's school, when we drop the kids off in the morning, I want to know why the speed limit is 15 miles an hour through that little zone. Why isn't it 25? Why isn't it 4? Why is 15 the magical number? Okay. I saw another, just a total side note. I went to someplace one time and they had standing desks, but they had treadmill desks, and they had figured out through research that, if you're standing and walking while you're working, 2 miles an hour is the ideal pace. If it's 1 mile an hour, you're walking, you're focusing too much on walking and keeping up, and you can't get your work done. And if you go to 3 miles an hour or faster, you're focusing on staying on the treadmill and not falling over. So those are the kinds of things that really, make me question things, like what is it that makes things tick, or why is it that things are the way they are? All right. So this is collaboration. Now I'm going to back out of the book here for a second and show you a little bit about how collaboration gets started. So once I've created this book in my library, underneath the book, I can click the share button and collaboration. Now, Catherine did mention in here that the collaboration is part of the paid plan. And so if you're on a free plan, we do have a trial of collaboration for 90 days. So when you click collaboration, you just click start collaboration trial, and you'll have 90 days to play along with it. Now, I already have collaboration in process here, but I could click start collaboration. And in that case, everyone in the library has the ability to edit that book. If I don't like that, there will be a button here that says change. So when students join your library, there's a button that says change. You click change, and you can choose which students can collaborate on that book. So that would be a really good opportunity, to do, a small group of students to work on a single book together, or multiple students. It's totally up to you. But I love the collaboration piece for that. All right. And so then Catherine put in another one there, nice angle there. So Catherine did use our noun project feature. So it's super, super cool to add some really nice icons to a page. All right. Awesome. So let's move on to the next step, right? Or the next thing that I think is really important when it comes to STEAM, and honestly, just in general, right, in school, and that is the detail. All right, so in this phase of the STEAM process, or in this inquiry process, we are looking for different elements that contribute to the problem. All right, so how are we going to get that background information? How are we going to get the skills? How are we going to get the processes? And how are we going to address this question? So if I go back to our essential questions, why do skunks smell? Or why do polar bears live in the cold? Or what type of angle is this? We as detectives are going to have to start looking at these details, and we're going to have to start trying to find ways to get that background information. So I think this is a really good opportunity in Book Creator for your students to just put their time and thoughts into the book. And it doesn't have to be, nothing has to be spelled correctly. They don't have to be in any specific order. You can use the shapes and icons to discuss problems, give you that background information. The kids are basically just doing research, either things that they know in their head, feelings that they have, ideas, hypotheses, things like that. They're just kind of dumping that all right here into the book. So first thing that I mentioned here was shapes and icons. So if you go to the plus button and click shapes, this is where Catherine and I are getting our shapes to kind of just put our information in. So that might be very helpful. Another thing that might be helpful here are the icons. Now, again, this is part of our paid plan, but there are lots of icons in here due to the partnership with the Noun Project. So in this one, Catherine put in angle. So she searches for angle and she gets all of these different options, and then she can just click the one that she wants and it adds it right to the page. All right. Same thing here. If I were to search for, skunks, right? Let's type in skunks and we hit skunks. Oh no, skunk. Let's see. Can we get a skunk in here? There are no skunk icons. There we go. I was going to say there's 2 to 3 million icons in here. So I would be shocked if there wasn't one in there. All right. So we get all these really cool things. Now, sometimes, and this kind of hits on the special ed aspect of things, you may have students who struggle to add text into here. So the icons are great, shapes are great. But what I love most about Book Creator is that we do have the ability to use video and audio to also discuss problems and solutions and things like that. So if you click the plus button, media, you can add from the camera. So you can take a still picture of something that might be the problem, like the 15-mile-an-hour stop sign or the speed limit sign. You could record video of those polar bears, or hopefully not. If you see a skunk, you might, and you're videotaping it, you might be in trouble. But you can do video, photos, things like that here. And what's nice about this is that I don't have to rely fully on text. I can just use my voice and I can record that video, putting my thoughts or my research findings kind of in there as well. And then the same thing under media and record. If I click record and hit start recording, it gives me that little countdown. Now I can share my thoughts about this topic in audio. And I just click stop, use recording, and now that audio button can be added right to the page. And so now, again, I don't have to use text. I don't have to rely on that. I can use the audio button to continue my thought process. All right. So I think this is a great way to use Book Creator just kind of as a dumping ground for your ideas and thoughts. All right. The next one is the discovery phase. All right. And this honestly is where a lot of this research, you're very intentional about what you're trying to do to find possible solutions to your essential question or to your problem. All right. And what I like about this too is we can also have our students discuss what is currently offered as a solution, why it is or isn't working. All right. And then also in this phase, as teachers, we can use this to figure out kind of those gaps in the student learning. All right. So as a teacher, when I create this library and students join my library, I am able to see the books that they are making right there inside my library. I don't have to have them send it to me. They don't have to share it with me. They join my library. They make the books. Excuse me. And inside that book, as a teacher, I can view things. So how might this look? All right. So again, kids, they go out and do the research, and you know better than I do the sites that you want your kids to go to, the things they're going to find to do their research. They're going to find that stuff. Now, as a teacher, though, as they're dumping this information onto the page, you can look at it and you can decide, is there stuff missing? All right. As I notice my kids' research, do I notice that they're missing research skills? Do I notice that they are, not following along the same content as their essential question? Maybe they've strayed off topic. So as a teacher, I can embed content to help them along their journey. All right. I can also use video to teach those skills that maybe they are missing. All right. And the teacher can leave feedback for the students. So let's talk a little bit about each one of these. So embedding content. So if I go to the plus button in media and import, there is a button here that says embed. And what I like about this is I can embed content from pretty much anywhere I want. YouTube, Vimeo, Soundtrap, Desmos calculators, Padlet, Flipgrid, Powtoon, Explain Everything. Anything that I can really think of, I can embed that content in here. So for example, let's say I go to YouTube and I type in something like, I don't know, why do skunks smell? All right, so if I go into my search bar here, I type in why do skunks smell, and then I get a video, and I know this isn't the video, but I'm going to click on the video, and then I'm going to click share. All right, and under the share button, there is a button that says embed. I'm going to click embed, copy this code, and then I'm going to go back to my book. All right, now, when I'm back in my book, I'm going to paste that code right here and confirm the link. Now I can see the video, the link, and the title, and I click add to book. And so now as a teacher, I could just take this little video, put it over here to the side, maybe grab a Bitmoji or an arrow or something and point to the video and tell the students, hey, check this out, because I think this video might help kickstart your journey and give you that kind of, give them that kind of, jump that they need to get moving along the process. All right, and then the same thing here as a teacher, instead of just using a YouTube video, you could create your own video and give it to the students and just kind of tell them, hey, you know what, as you're doing this research, I noticed that you searched a certain topic and maybe you should try this, or here's some other suggestions to kind of help you along the way. All right, and then the last one is that teachers can actually provide feedback right on the page. Now, we don't have a comment feature in the traditional sense, but one of the things that you can kind of see here over to the side is that I've used these thought bubbles kind of as notes on the side of a page. So as a teacher, I could grab a thought bubble, or Catherine and I, one of our favorite things to do is to grab a shape. I just click on the shapes tool and add a shape to the page or a thought bubble, and then just kind of stick it over here off to the side. And then when a student sees that, they know that there's something that they need to either fix or work on, or a suggestion from the teacher. And then when they're done and they're ready to move on, they can delete that shape just like so. And then the teacher, they have their fix that they need right there on the page. So I love being able to use shapes, thought bubbles, speech bubbles. Catherine and I are big fans of using Bitmojis on our page. As you can see, there's a lot of options here for helping your students move kind of right along that process. Okay, then the next step or the next idea that we want to talk about is the actual application. All right, and this to me is where the real fun happens. We've done the essential question. We've looked at details. We've looked at ideas and information. We've researched topics. We've researched our thing. Now it's time for the kids to actually take that knowledge and put it into practice. And so in this phase, the kids are actually going to create their own solutions to the problems, and they're going to design those solutions so that other people can see. Now, in my opinion, in Book Creator, this is where Book Creator really shines because there are so many things that students can use inside of Book Creator to put onto the page to kind of help them. All right, so many tools. We have, if you click the plus button, we have the shapes tool, which we've already talked a little bit about. And again, of course, we have the noun project. Under the media tool, the kids can import things. Now they can import images right here from our Pixabay image search. They can bring in maps, files from their computer or from their Google Drive. And of course, we can embed content. So a lot of ways the kids can bring that knowledge right onto the page. Also under media, we've got the camera we talked about, the pen tool. The pen tool is definitely one of my favorites because the kids can take their pen tool and they can make sketches right here on the page. They can draw what they need to draw. They can also use our auto draw feature, which is really cool. So as they start to draw something, the auto draw is trying to figure out what it is. And then at the top of the screen, the kids can actually pick. So I've got this awful picture of a bicycle. So maybe I can go up here and click on this bicycle and it actually fixes my drawing. Sorry. So I love the drawing tool. They can annotate over top of images. They can annotate over top of the page of Google Maps. It's really awesome. It's just a great way for students to, again, document the learning and put their ideas into practice, start designing something. And I love the idea of using Book Creator to, kind of watch that process the whole way through, right? Book Creator doesn't always have to be just a finalized, finished product. You can use Book Creator to work your way through this entire process. And as a teacher, I think that is kind of, teacher gold when you can see the entire process that the student goes through. All right, so I absolutely love this. And of course, there are so many other options within Book Creator for students to kind of document that process. All right, and then the next phase is kind of when we put it all together, all right? And as a student, I've designed it, I've come up with something, and now I need to present this. And I think this is where Book Creator really, really shines because it is not just a typical type of presentation tool, right? It's a book. These students are becoming authors, and they are able to have these amazing, amazing creations, all right? These amazing books. And when it's done, we'll talk a little bit about being able to publish it. But again, as a student, I can create this place where I have created my designs, I've given something, and I am going to present. I am presenting through Book Creator right now. You can certainly do this, obviously, through Zoom or a Google Hangout or something. If your kids are not in the same physical space, if they are in the same physical space, you can do this on the board, right? You plug your computer in, you show the students books, and they talk through what they've come up with. Now, I think this is a really great place then for other students to leave feedback. So I think there's a couple of ways you can do this, but I really want you to think Shark Tank, all right, in this moment. Think of you as a student presenting your information to others and then allowing them to give you feedback on whether or not they believe in what you're saying. So we talked about turning on collaboration. And I think you could certainly turn on collaboration for a book and then allow students to make comments in other student books. So that would be one thing. And I would certainly choose the change button in collaboration so that when a student goes in here, so let's say this is my book and Catherine is the one that's going to be leaving feedback in here. As a teacher, I'm going to turn on collaboration, but I'm only going to allow John and Catherine to be the ones to work inside this book. So you could provide feedback that way. Another thought that I just had is that you could have students create their own feedback for another student, but have it in a completely separate book. And that way, there is no chance that the student leaving feedback is actually maybe able to mess around with the book. So totally up to you. Students can read each other's books. Students can leave feedback in a separate book, or if you turn on collaboration, they can leave feedback inside of a book. All right. And then once the students have read their books, they've looked at the feedback, and they are ready to move along the process, this is where they actually come up with those better solutions. All right. This is that finalized product. The students are really, really excited. And now it's time to share that work out with others. So I'm going to go back to my library here, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that books inside of Book Creator can be shared out. And it's totally up to you however you want to do this, but there are a couple of different ways to do this. Under the share button at the bottom, if you click on that, you can print your books out. So if you wanted to, you can download it as a PDF and then print the book out on your own time, or on your own printer, I should say. You can download your book as an ebook. All right. If it does that, it comes down as an EPUB, and then anybody with Apple Books or Book Creator is able to read it. We can also publish the book online. And this is my favorite, because when I click publish online, I get a title and author, and I click publish. And now that's it. That book is online and viewable to anybody that has this link. It's not searchable on Google. Random people are not going to be able to find it. But if they have this link, they will be able to read the book. So I think this is a perfect opportunity then, especially for students if they're if they're talking about something that is meaningful to them and to their community. This is a great way for students to share that information out with others, businesses, administrators, local politicians, things like that. This is a great place, a great way for students to share that work, that finalized work, out with others. And I also love this idea of having kind of a walkthrough party. All right, so when we're done with it, we're ready to present it. Now we can share this information out in this little walkthrough party, kind of like what we're doing right now. Okay. All right, I'm not seeing any questions in here specifically. I see some comments, some wows, some thank yous. I think Catherine answered the questions so far. So we're just gonna keep plugging right along. And then real quick, connecting this with STEAM, and then we are going to continue talking about some examples here, but just connecting STEAM with special education. I just have some thoughts here on ways that you can help your special education students. And truth be told, I think this will help all of your students, especially if they're coming through, if they're going through this STEAM process, this idea of inquiry, maybe for the first time. First off, choice. All right. I think choice is huge. And, obviously, I think Book Creator is a great idea, but you may have a couple of students who are very rare that don't like Book Creator. So it's important that we give students choice. Maybe we create rubrics for the students. Maybe we create templates. We have some some templates already built in, and maybe that is good for your students. Maybe they don't want that. Maybe they want to be free and creative and do whatever they want. That's okay. But choice also helps create buy-in, because when you have choice, then the students are more likely to buy into what you're doing, because they will be able to answer the questions and move through the process in the way that they like. All right. So I really like this idea of choice. The other thing that I think is really important in terms of special education, or again, students in general, is being able to give these students a little bit of wait time. All right. I think for me, one of the hardest parts of facilitating a STEAM type of lesson, or this inquiry kind of process, is just allowing students that extra bit of time to figure things out. I feel sometimes that a lot of times we're stuck in this mode of we got to get this done, this done, this done, and we got to move fast. And when we do that, we don't really get that deep knowledge. And so allowing the students time to wait, reflect, communicate back and forth with the teacher, either through audio and text and video, or, if they have questions for the teacher, things like that, through email, whatever. But giving these students a chance to reflect on what they are doing, I think is huge. I think it's hugely important. All right, and then the next one to think about, the next kind of idea to keep in mind is to keep things concrete. All right, so especially with special education students, if things are really abstract and they're really, really out there, your students are going to struggle with this. So using Book Creator to make things real concrete is awesome. And you can use Book Creator to create your own materials that explains these topics to your students. Use audio, use video, use those icons, use drawings, things like that to make that information real visible to your students. All right, and the next thing, maps, right, can be your friend. So using thinking maps and flowcharts and embedded things like Padlets into your books can definitely help your students stay organized. All right, now I do have, I've used this before. I thought I had a blank page and I don't, but I could use things like shapes, all right, to create timelines, to create graphic organizers, to give my students little questions that they may want to have answers for as they're going through this process. But using things inside of Book Creator to help these students map out where they want to go is going to be huge. Using templates as organizers is also a big thing. All right, so if you go back to your books or your library and click new book, we do have these amazing templates. And so you can create these awesome templates for your students to help them along the way. All right, so again, keep those kinds of things in mind as we are going along. And then the last one that I wanted to talk about, and I think this is probably self-explanatory, but making sure that your students' goals, right, the student goals align with what your lesson actually is. All right, make sure that whatever your student goals are, make sure that they can access Book Creator to accomplish those goals. You can use all of our accessibility features. You can use video to model for your students what you expect them to be able to do. But being able to have those goals real explicit for the kids is going to be very beneficial in the long run. All right, now I did want to share a couple of sample books with you that I think are pretty cool. This one was really cool. The theme was a better future. And this group of students decided that they were going to design robots so that they could have a better future through robots. All right, and so if I go ahead and click through a couple of these pages, I love the About Author page, love the audio and videos that were included in here. But as we go through this book, every student had their own robot that was going to help with the future. And I absolutely laughed at this one hysterically because of the Gordon Ramsay 3000, because I'm a big fan of the cooking shows and Gordon Ramsay. So I love seeing this. But again, student work, student audio on here so you can hear the student voice. And then we've got these really cool icons and pictures that the students have added. Here's the Doggobot. And again, these kids, they had a solution, or they had a theme, right? A better future. And then they were able to create these robots to go along with that. Who Turned the World Gray? This one kind of takes a different approach to solving the problem. And so in the first one, every student was able to get their own, come up with their own solution, right, to making the world better through robots. And this one turned into a story. All right. And so now we've actually got this really awesome narrative about why the world turned gray and how we are able to, how we're able to make the changes to fix things. All right. And so you can see all of these really awesome illustrations. As you can tell, these are actually student work that was on a piece of paper. The teacher took a picture of it, and then they were able to add that as pictures right inside of Book Creator to kind of enhance the story, but give it that more kind of like real artworky kind of feel to it. Marina, sorry, I did see your question here in the Q&A box. Are there any plans to add a paragraph and lists in the text editor. And I'll be honest with you, that is not something that I have heard anybody in our company mention specifically. And I think one of the reasons that I like that is because I can click the plus button and add some text, and I can make a paragraph and just put it wherever I want on the page. And then I can add photos, and then I can make another paragraph. So basically, I'm just going to make the paragraphs inside of a text box. But being able to add lists is definitely something that I have heard mentioned before. So I will talk, I'll bring that back up with the engineering team again. But in terms of paragraphs, nothing specific that I have seen. All right. Here's another example of some STEM books. Now, this is actually a STEM library that somebody created. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, and I am going to copy that. And I am going to put that into the chat window so that you can visit this library and be able to see what's going on inside of it. So again, this is the one that had the robot designs, but this is a library that this teacher put together with all of these amazing STEM books. All right, so definitely want you to take a look at this one. Let's go ahead and close that one down. And then we also have another one here. Here's another example. This is from my buddy, Jason Hubbard. Lots of great stuff. He is or was, I guess, at the time of the creation of this library, a STEM teacher, coach. And so I'm going to put that, sorry, it went to the wrong tab. I'm going to put that link into the chat window as well. But this one, a lot of great resources in here. He, instead of calling it STEAM, he calls it MEETS. So he kind of had a little play on the word STEAM there, and he is able to call it mathematics, engineering, arts, technology, and science, and calls it MEETS. And so he is able to actually put in his own STEAM newsletter. And then we have some a Maker Lab book, an idea book, just some templates that he put together to give you some ideas for using Book Creator. All right, and then the last one, I think I have, yep, one more sample. I like this one a lot. This is just an inquiry journal. And so this teacher was able to create a blank journal. And as you can see, we talked a little bit about using shapes as mind maps and organizers. This is a great way to do that. So this is a sample. And again, you cannot copy this sample directly. But if I am going to put the link here into the chat window, and so that way you can go through and you can look at this. And if you want to mimic it, you can certainly do so, but you cannot copy any of these books right now. Okay, so I'm going to stick around here for a few minutes to answer any questions that you may have. But I do want to say thank you on behalf of Catherine and myself. We just want to say thank you for being here. And hopefully you enjoyed this webinar and you got some good information out of it. If you do have any aha moments or thoughts, I would love to see those in the chat window. And same thing with questions. If you do have any questions, please put those into the chat window or the Q&A box right now. And like I said, Catherine and I will stick around for a couple more minutes to answer these questions. But if not, you are free to go. And we just want to say thanks again for being here. Happy bookmaking. Be safe out there and have a great day. So again, thanks everyone. And thank you, Catherine, for answering the questions for me and being here.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, so we'll see if we have any more questions. All right, Christina, thank you. All right, awesome. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. All right. I'm having one of those moments where I open my windows to my house because I was like, it's so nice out, but it's 82, and now I'm starting to feel it in the house.
Right?
Like,
yeah, it's
hot.
80s here too.
It is hot.